One of the most important parts of any TV show is where the characters live. It's where the characters are probably going to spend a majority of their time on account of the fact that they live there, but how much would you actually want to live in these different places? Today I'm going to be ranking various houses from different sitcoms and TV shows I watched growing up to find out which one would be the best and worst place to live in real life. First, we have to lay down some ground rules for this list. Number 1, I am not paying for this. We are assuming that I own the property and that costs of living are going to be generally the same wherever. The biggest mansion to the smallest shack are going to be on even playing fields today. Number 2, I am replacing current residents, not living with them. They will not be factored in, but neighbors and location will be. Rule number 3. It's just the 2 rules. But now it's time to start our list with a certified classic. We're off to a strong start with this one. The Griffin House is a beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, complete with a sunroom, dining room, garage, attic, and basement. Plenty of room for me and maybe even others. My only hangup is that both bathrooms are on the 2nd floor. I don't love that. Joe and Cleveland seem like pretty decent neighbors, though I am a little concerned about Quagmire. I think modern Quagmire might even rank above Joe in terms of neighborhood, but that old Quagmire would definitely bring the property value down, you know? But having a former Batman as mayor would be freaking sweet. Now, I am actually from Rhode Island, so 31 Spooner Street is getting bonus points for being close to home for me. Now, remember Rule 2. The Griffins themselves are being removed from the equation, meaning a lot of the nonsense that usually goes on in Quahog is nullified. And even though I'm more of a pool guy, it's not that far from the beach, which definitely earns it some points in a lot of people's books. Overall, we have a strong start with an A+ overall for the Griffin House. What do I even need to say? It's a giant Los Angeles mansion, for Christ's sakes. According to the Fresh Prince wiki, it's got at least 10 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, a basement, a pool house, a tree house that's bigger than the pool house. What else do I have to say? Double S tier for the Banks mansion. It's really a no-brainer.
I made you some stuffed mushrooms.
Who cares?
Brushwell Plaza Apartment 8C from iCarly is a bit of a complex one to say the least. Now, it is a very nice apartment, but some things are just off about it. First, we have to address the elephant in the room. Why is there an elevator that goes from the ground floor directly into their apartment? I do not like that. It feels like even with security, anyone could just come into my home whenever they pleased. On top of that, the layout makes no sense. Where does this back door lead? Spencer's room is implied to be off to the right, but where is Carly's room? What else is on the 2nd floor beside the iCarly set? We never get to see any of it, but it's implied there's more up there. There's just a lot of unknowns here. I think having Lubert as my doorman would be perfectly fine. I feel like if I keep to myself, Lubert would keep to himself, you know? Plus, without the iCarly gang literally torturing the bastard, I imagine his demeanor might be a bit more pleasant. And my big concern is the Bensons across the hall. Miss Benson and Freddie in a world without Carly isn't exactly the combo I want to be living across from. Finally, things in 8C seem to spontaneously combust into flames pretty often. Now, this could just be Spencer's incompetence, but something tells me that there's something more going on in this apartment. Final score is going to be an even C for 8C. Ray Romano, I love you. The Barone house from Everybody Loves Raymond opens into the living room, with stairs up to the 2nd floor and stairs down to the basement, and to the left is the sort of hybrid dining room/kitchen. Located in Lynbrook, New York, a solid B, I'm not sure what else to say.
Good morning, USA.
The Smith house from American Dad opens into the living room with stairs up to the 2nd floor and stairs down to the basement, and to the left is the sort of hybrid dining room/kitchen, and this is the exact same house from Everybody Loves Raymond. Okay, in fairness, the Smith house does seem to be a bit bigger and has both an attic and pool that the Barone house does not, but the first floors are nearly identical. The Smith house gets a B+, bonus points for the attic and pool, but minus points because I think I'd rather live in New York than Virginia.
It's spherical! Spherical!
The Parker Nichols house is one of the best houses on our list today. Sizable living room connected directly to the kitchen. The kitchen is a little small, but they more than make up for it with these bedrooms. It's hard to choose between Drake and Josh's room with the huge size and the different levels to it are all really cool, or Megan's room with all the crazy tech and computers in the wall, or their parents' rooms that I don't think we'd actually ever get to see. Just a great house. S.
What's the point of having our own apartment if we don't have any f***ing money?
Now, I'm not saying I'd get magic from living here, but I am saying I get to keep the lair. Secret rooms are cool, and I want one. It's a pretty nice New York apartment on top of a fully functional sub shop with a sick-ass secret room. And I don't have magic. I don't feel like I have to worry about werewolves and vampires and stuff. All that is a secret from me. The Waverly sub shop gets an A+. It would be an S, but I don't like that staircase.
Let's say something. You like jazz?
Jerry's apartment from Seinfeld is a mess. Why are all these rooms diagonally offset from each other? It's awful. And at least other apartments on this list have more than one bedroom. And that's not even to mention the way the hallway clips into the kitchen. And having Kramer as your neighbor. F tier, I'm not dealing with your non-Euclidean hallways, Jerry.
Who broke into my room and touched my badger?
The Ross family penthouse is exactly what it says it is. A penthouse. Now, the address for the Ross penthouse is unknown, but we do know it's somewhere in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Jerry's apartment is also in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Even if the buildings look nothing alike from the outside, I'm choosing to believe they're the same building. Now, the penthouse has a good few sizable rooms and even a movie theater, but it has that same elevator that goes straight into the living room from iCarly. It's also a little high up for my taste, and I'm not sure I feel comfortable living in the same building as a guy who dated a 17-year-old. What's the deal with the age of consent? But consider that I make the rules for this list, and I say that the penthouse comes with Bertram. Double S tier.
Aw, $20. I wanted a peanut.
The Simpsons house really isn't too different from the Griffin house. It's just a really nice house. Frank Grimes says it himself. Grimy, as he likes to be called.
Good heavens! This is a palace!
Yeah, but look at the size of this place. I live in a single room above a bowling alley and below another bowling alley.
D tier for Frank Grimes' apartment. I like bowling, but I wouldn't like the noise. 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, garage, basement, attic, has pretty much everything you'd ever want. Although I don't think I'd like Springfield as much as Quahog, and I'm not exactly keen on living in a still unknown state. And finally, once again, I make the rules and I say we're going with old Ned Flanders, not modern Ned Flanders. A- for 742 Evergreen Terrace. Now, when I was doing my research for this video, I thought it would be fun to rank the house from the first ever TV sitcom, which according to Wikipedia is 1947's Mary Kay and Johnny. The titular Mary Kay and Johnny lived in an apartment in Greenwich Village, New York, but unfortunately, I have no idea what it looks like. From what I gather, most episodes of the show went unrecorded, and the ones that were recorded were either destroyed later to harvest the silver from the film prints, or were dumped into New York City's East River for no reason at all, apparently.
This is all Decade's fault.
Only one episode is known to have survived and is held by the Paley Center for Media, but the rest of the series' estimated 299 episodes are now considered lost media.
How do you lose a woman?
You forget to cherish her.
First thing we have to address. The Tipton Hotel is not in New York. It is in Boston. I'm not sure why I thought it was in New York, but judging by the fact that everyone I talked to about this was also surprised to hear it was in Boston and not New York, you probably thought it was in New York too. The fact that the twins spend most of their time messing around the hotel shows us really how much there is to do in Boston. But to be fair, I already spend about 14 hours a day inside on my computer, so I guess that shouldn't mean too much to me. Now, the Tipton is supposed to be a super fancy hotel with 5-star restaurants and such, but it just never really feels like it. At the end of the day, it's still a hotel, and I don't think I'd be huge on living in one. As much as I want to give it a D to make a Prindle joke, I have to be honest, C+. I'll be so real, I could not think of a single funny moment from Sweet Life on Deck to put here. The SS Tipton, on the other hand, is a whole nother story. The SS Tipton from Sweet Life on Deck actually feels like a luxury cruise liner, and according to the Sweet Life wiki, has a juice bar, aqua lounge, hot tub, swimming pools, sky deck, basketball court, fiesta deck, ice cream parlor, pizza parlor, restaurants, Neptune balcony, spa, donut parlor, atrium, beauty parlor, and planetarium. I'm not super into the idea of living on a boat out on the ocean, but I do like the idea that as a boat, it goes all around the world and I get to visit a ton of different places. If I get a luxury suite instead of a crew cabin, we're gonna have to put the S in SS Tipton, but I'd have to give it an A if I get a crew cabin like Zach and Cody do in the show. What does the fact that I couldn't think of a funny moment from Sweet Life on Deck or Pair of Kings tell us about both of these shows? The island of King Cow from Pair of Kings is an interesting one. Let's discuss the pros and cons. Pros. I get to be king of my own small island and live in the palace. Cons. Literally everything on that godforsaken island is actively trying to kill me one way or another. Giant bugs, quicksand, Ryan Ochoa. It is not a position I want to be in. And if statistics tells us anything, there's a 66% chance I end up a criminal. Final grade, D. Being king is being king, but dying is also dying.
I wrote big laundry. I don't even remember what the reason was. So I guess I assumed I'd remember, like it was some big genius idea. Big laundry. Big laundry. It's crazy. I'm a crazy person.
Now for this one, we're actually not going to be talking about the Flynn Fletcher house. We're going to be talking about Positioned in the heart of Danville with a great view of the city and Mount Danville from the balcony, plenty of space with nice dark colors, and it has gargoyles. With Doof out of the picture, we wouldn't even have to worry about any of his evil schemes. There are a good number of other evil scientists around, but with the organization without a cool acronym to protect us, I'm not too worried about that. And Phineas and Ferb are always doing awesome, usually town-wide events in the summer that would make living there just a blast. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated scores a double S and is probably my number one on this list.
My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better. Her aim is getting better.
On the other side of the Disney animated coin, we have Gravity Falls' Mystery Shack. I like how the Mystery Shack is a little out of the way into the woods. It would really let me have my me time and maybe reconnect with nature. I've elected to rescind my desire to reconnect with nature. And while I am a small town kind of guy, Gravity Falls is a bit smaller than I'm used to, I feel like. Also, are there any grocery stores in Gravity Falls? I can't think of a single time we see them go to a grocery store. Now, originally I was going to say that the Mystery Shack itself seems good, but I wouldn't want to deal with all the weird stuff that happens around town and give it a D. But the more I thought about it, who am I to resist the call of adventure? Yeah, all the weird stuff that goes on is definitely dangerous, but it'd probably be pretty exciting. What can I say? I guess I'm just a sucker for adventure and mystery. B-.
All my friends know the low rider. All my friends don't want a copyright strike.
The House from George Lopez gets a D. I'm sure it's a great house and Los Angeles is a fine location, but I couldn't find out anything about it because every Google search I did with the words George Lopez, show, and house just brought up results about the real-life George Lopez. That's why George is getting a D overall, and a teacher's note saying, take a lesson from Ray Romano, and don't name your main character and the show itself after you egotistical prick.
If you say your mom, you're fired. Mama!
I honestly think working at the park from regular show would be a pretty sweet gig. The park seems like a nice place to live, and I'm not adverse to a little bit of physical labor. Benson seems like a genuinely good boss as long as you don't slack off too much, and while Mordecai and Rigby get into some weird situations, I feel like it's usually their own fault. But like I said before, a little excitement every once in a while isn't so bad even if it's dangerous. B+.
In the next episode, Steve Urkel turns Carl into a giant sandwich and accidentally eats him.
Living next to Steve Urkel would be a nightmare. Nature abhors a vacuum, and in the absence of the cop from Die Hard, I would be the person Urkel comes to with all his inventions. Here is a short list of things Urkel did in Family Matters' 9-season run. Invented a narcotic he calls snooze juice, which a wrestler accidentally drinks, so Carl and Urkel have to enter the ring against professional wrestlers. Locked himself and Carl in a fallout shelter with a man that loves to sing show tunes. Moved in with Eddie and Waldo, only to have Urkel's mutant termites devour the entire apartment, forcing the three to move back into the Winslow household. Shrunk himself and Carl down to 2 inches tall, where they then engaged in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids style antics. Accidentally charged his body with an unlimited quality of iron, causing him to turn into a human lightning rod. Urkel mistakes diet pills for vitamin C and goes into a stupor that nearly results in the Winslow garage being destroyed. Accidentally pours his aphrodisiac potion Woo Woo Juice on himself. Created a clone of himself.
There's 2 of them!
A ventriloquist's dummy which looks exactly like Urkel comes to life and terrorizes the Winlows. Not necessarily Urkel's fault, but I'm putting it on the list anyway. Causes the Winslows' homeowners insurance to skyrocket in price. Takes Carl back in time to a 1700s pirate ship where they are nearly killed by being made to walk the plank. And that's all just from a cursory glance at the wiki. There's the thrill of adventure, and then there's the thrill of Urkel. D-.
Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I just want a picture of a goddamn hot dog.
The Hill House is a standard 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom ranch house, which is just so nice after all the Urkel stuff. That being said, it is a little small and it does seem to have some shoddy construction at times. I don't love the location or the lineup of neighbors. All I can say is it certainly is a house. C-.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
We all know where SpongeBob lives, but just how good is it to live there? SpongeBob's Pineapple is 3 floors, complete with a garage, laundry room, a huge library, workout room, and attic, but it has some flaws that might be a problem. First off, SpongeBob is very short, like only a few centimeters short. His pineapple is an actual pineapple. I'm 6'5" and look at me, I am not fitting in there! Plus, I don't know if you know this about me, it's a little embarrassing, but I can't actually breathe underwater, so even if I could fit in there, I would just drown. Unless I had some sort of air helmet like Sandy, but I wouldn't want to have to wear that all the time. And being an actual pineapple, the whole building is liable to rotting and collapsing. Also, there's just a guy living in the walls. Listen, I am a defender of modern SpongeBob, but this I have no explanation for. Seriously, after this video, go watch the Season 9 episode Bulletin Board. It is a top 10 episode of all time, trust me. SpongeBob's house is the absolute worst house on our list today. F-. If I lived here, I wouldn't because I would die. Well, I hope you liked this random video idea that just kind of came to me this week and seemed like fun to make. And if you did, you should consider liking and subscribing. And if you disagreed with any of my opinions, you should make sure you leave a comment down below. But until next time, farewell.